since you came along, you sexy thing.
August Strindberg was born January 22nd, 1849, in Stockholm, Sweden. His father was Carl Oskar Strindberg, who was a shipping agent. He was born of good blood but was never rich. Ulrika Eleonora Norling was his mother. Earlier she was his father's mistress and only married him after she was pregnant with August. He was fourth of 9 children and resented his mother for not giving him enough attention. She died when he was 13, and this caused a later rift with his father because his father married their young governess only months after his mother's death. August Strindberg later went to school at the University of Uppsala but left after a single semester. It was at this point that Strindberg became interested in the theater. He worked as an accountant at many local theaters, but when he auditioned for a minor role and was rejected, he nearly committed suicide in a downward spiral of depression. In an attempt to commit suicide, Strindberg took an opium pill, thinking it would kill him. It did not. It put him in a deep sleep, however, and when he woke up, he was haunted by memories of his childhood. In a 4-day writing binge that followed this dreamlike state, Strindberg completed his first play and had the self-realization that he was to be a writer. Strindberg's personal life was not much brighter than his professional one, especially since he made little effort to separate the two. Strindberg's first marriage began with an affair with an officer's wife named Siri Wrangel. Strindberg had a problem of being attracted to strong, independent women and then wanting them to be docile creatures of the home when he married them. Siri, like all of his wives, had her own career aspirations. She wanted to be an actress, and in the beginning, Strindberg encouraged her and even wrote parts for her. He, however, thought that when she had their first child that she would settle down and raise their children. She had different plans. This led to jealousy and resentment from Strindberg and their eventual divorce. It was at the end of his marriage to Siri that Strindberg wrote his first major play, The Father, which dealt with the weaker gender ability to psychologically destroy the stronger gender. Its highly slandered views of women drove the stake into the heart of his and Siri's marriage, and they divorced in August of 1887. Strindberg then moved to Berlin, where he met his second wife, a writer named Frieda Uhl. The marriage only lasted a year because both of them wanted careers, but Strindberg wanted her to be a wife. After this failed marriage, Strindberg moved to Paris, where his professional career began to flourish while his personal demons began to take over. During this time, Strindberg became increasingly paranoid and obsessed with mysticism and the occult. Strindberg returned to Stockholm in the spring of 1898, where he had a 5-year writing spurt and wrote 22 plays, including some of his most famous plays such as Miss Julie in 1898 and A Dream Play in 1901. It was during this spurt that he entered into his third and yet another doomed marriage. This time it was to a 22-year-old actress named Harriet Boss. Just like with all of his other marriages, Strindberg wanted a wife, and Harriet wanted to be a star. After their divorce, Strindberg turned his interest to opening an experimental theater, where the focus would be on the internal conflict of the character rather than the plot. This was the turning point in his work where it went from realism and naturalism to expressionism. The theater opened and had a short, although successful run. At 57, Strindberg found yet another companion, a 17-year-old actress, but they did not marry. In 1908, he moved in with her family and finally received the family life he had always been looking for. On May 14, 1912, Strindberg died of cancer,